All right, today's project, actually it'll take more than today, but I've installed this Renogy 3000 watt inverter. And you know what really surprised me is how big this thing is. It's like, I saw the dimensions in the online posting, but when I got it, I was like, wow, this thing is big. But yeah, there's a lot more to just bolting this thing in, so I'll go over the details in the video. And it's going to go in there. Well, here's a look at our current off-grid electrical system. We only use this when we're off-grid. If we're plugged into shore power, this whole thing is bypassed. We just recently ripped out the lead acid batteries and put this watt cycle 314 amp hour in. It's been awesome. Rearranged the wiring a little bit, but yeah, over the years this has really turned into a dog's breakfast. Hopefully. The gray box here is the transfer switch between the generator and not the shore power, but the inverter. And here we have the trusted and true Onan 2.8 microware. That is coming out. We're going to replace that with lithium batteries. So that's the project for now, is to remove this custom generator box and get the generator out. One last look at the generator box before it gets taken apart. Not much more to it, really. That's it. All right, this is looking pretty empty in here. Used to be full with a generator and a lead acid battery box with 2 batteries in it. That was it. It was done. But as you can see, gone to lithium a while back, and we hardly ever use the generator because the solar has been so good. And now we're going to put in a big enough battery bank to run AC off of that 3000 watt inverter, and we're going to make sure all the safety things are done right so I don't burn the place down, breakers and fuses and everything. I'll go over that all during the video. All right, here's a bit of a progress update. I have the inverter mounted. It's weird that it's upside down, but yeah. And then I have the outlet connected in. Lots of stuff to clean up here still. This plug that I wired into the inverter, this already goes back to a transfer switch. It connects into the main breaker. I had my previous inverter connected up that way, and this one will be the same. So I'm gonna have to redo all that. The fuse box used to be over here. That should have all the wires hanging down. And what else is going on here? This is temporary. I have to put a fuse and reroute that and tie it up properly so it doesn't bounce around. These things way down here, these white wires, let's get out of the way here. These are the trailer brakes that I rewired years ago. 1 wire for each wheel. So there isn't a single point of failure. And then over here we have the catastrophic breakers. Renogy calls for a 400 watt fuse. I went with this 400 watt breaker, and it calls for a 4-aught cable, or 40 or whatever you pronounce it. So that's what that is. Going to the bus bar, and I've yet to wire up these batteries with equal length cables to the bus bars. And here is going to be a Bluetooth shunt once it arrives. I don't know what's happening, it's been delayed. The reason for these fancy inverters is because of something called breaking capacity. When I just had 1 battery, this was good enough. This would break the arc. These are rated at 10,000 amps breaking capacity. That's a 200 amp fuse, but the breaking capacity is something different. Maybe I'll put a little blurb up on the screen what breaking capacity really means. And I'm going to end up, there's another battery here. No, they're not the same, which apparently is okay. I've yet undecided as whether I'm going to go with 3 or 4 batteries, but when you wire up these batteries in parallel, all the wires have to be the same length. So the bus bars make it easy to do that. You just create a wire long enough to reach the longest one, and then make the rest of them all the same length, wire them into the bus bar, and away you go. I'm going to use 1-0 cable for the individual batteries because the current will be shared. And then this 160 amp breaker runs through to the main trailer circuits. These wires going behind here, that's the solar charge controllers. They never used to fit in here. They would now if I rerouted them, but I'm not going to move them now. And the shut off here is just to shut off the trailer circuit from the rest of this. If for some reason I want to work on the trailer but leave all this, like the solar and everything, charging, still running. Yeah, I think I mentioned the fuse box that I have to rewire everything to. Yeah, I'll give an update later as I make more progress. So here's the finished product. I have two 300-ish amp hour batteries and this 100 amp hour battery, which I'm going to replace with another 300 amp hour battery, so they're all more or less matching. And all the wiring, equal length wiring, bus bars, and what you didn't see in the last video was the Renogy Bluetooth shunt was installed there, and I had to run a wire to power. And this is the temperature sensor. Oh yeah, right, that was a to-do thing. I still got to hook that up. Probably just taped it to the side of the battery, but that's not good. I'll figure something else out. And over here we have the inverter, and now I have room to actually carry stuff in my front bay. So that's the backup generator, which I hope I never need. Some electrical cords and hoses. I'm going to pull those out so you can see what's behind them. This was actually complete in the last segment of the video, except this is going to get a fuse which just arrived yesterday. Finally I can get that put in. And then all this stuff over here. I don't know if I mentioned what this is, but it's the trigger. When it detects power from the inverter, it'll turn on a relay which will signal the converter in the back of the trailer through this wire that I ran back down there years ago, and it'll flip a relay and turn off the power converter so we don't try and use our batteries to charge our batteries in a circle. That won't work too well. And I got to tell you, this Renogy inverter has been rock solid. I mean, I've hit it. When the air conditioner was running, I turned on the microwave and it went over 3,000 watts for like a couple of minutes and it didn't even flinch. No matter what I threw at this thing, I'm so impressed with it. It's been amazing. The other thing I got was a 60 amp lithium battery charger, and it's mountable, which I haven't done yet, but I have used it. And what I did was I was mooch stalking at my father-in-law's, and he provided this long extension cord for me that was way too skinny and way too long to run the air conditioning unit. And this is one of the reasons I put this system in, is that basically I plugged the charger into the extension cord, and the whole time I was there I ran the whole trailer off of the inverter, and as a result I didn't overheat his extension cord or blow any breakers. No matter what I did, I could run the microwave or the air fryer and the air conditioner at the same time, and these batteries would just kick in and handle it. And then over the day they would slowly drain down because the 60 amp charger wasn't enough, and then into the evening and overnight it would fully charge the batteries up again. The stupid thing about this charger is that the next day, so it would shut off when it got to 100%, and then the next day when you started drawing the batteries down again, it wouldn't detect the batteries drawing down and kick the charger off again. No, I had to unplug this Anderson connector each time I wanted to start the charger. If the batteries were starting to drain down, if it had been 100% and it shut down, it wouldn't start itself again. I guess that's what I'm saying. But yeah, that was kind of a pain. I wish there was a better system than that. And I know if you got a Victron, all that stuff would be handled automatically, but this is not done on a Victron budget, and it's working great. Okay, so another thing is I crimp my own cables, and I grab one of these hydraulic cable crimpers from Amazon, and wow, did that thing ever work good. This is a 12-ton version. I had to buy one that was strong enough to crimp the 4-0 cable. And I bought terminals, lugs. And these cell term brand ones, they're the way to go. Like I initially, I don't know what I was thinking. I was not thinking. I bought some cheap no-name ones. And I should have sent them back, I guess, but I tried one of them anyways. They were crap. Don't trust don't trust your system to those. And I think I might have mentioned earlier as I bought this. This is the 1-0 welding cable. I bought it all in black, even though I like the idea of having red for positive, but I use red shrink wrap, so that helped, so you can identify which one is positive and negative. Of course, you could always check where it's going to, but yeah, and that's just about it. Everything seems to be working good.